This is the story of a future where millions of people have been affected by crime. Civil unrest was at an all-time high. Prisons were overcrowded. Citywide red zones were established to restrict individuals implicated in violent activities. And these extreme circumstances called for extreme measures. That is the mercy court. Violent capital offenders are now judged by artificial intelligence, which acts as judge, jury, and executioner. In this fully autonomous courtroom, suspects are presumed guilty until proven innocent. Mercy has already impartially judged and executed 18 individuals. And now it is going to judge this man, Chris Raven, who is surprised to find himself here. Maddox, the AI judge of Mercy Capital Court, introduces herself. Chris says, "I am Detective Raven. I put 8 people in this chair. I don't belong here." But Maddox tells him that his blood alcohol level has now reduced sufficiently for trial. Chris has been blacked out for the last 5 to 6 hours. Chris says this can't be real. He has no idea why he's even here. And that's when Maddox tells him he is charged with the murder of his wife, Nicole. He is shown police body cam footage. In it, his daughter is sitting next to her mother's body. And when her mother was asked who did this, her last words were, "Chris." Chris can't believe it. But he has access to a search engine in the courtroom, and when he searches, it becomes painfully clear. This is all real. The news was reporting that Chris and his partner Jack were responsible for arresting David Webb and bringing the murderer to trial as the first participant in the Mercy Court. But now Chris himself has ended up here. He says, "I am not guilty. I can't be. I wouldn't hurt her." But Maddox has calculated his probability of guilt at 97.5%. This is 17.5% above the 80% threshold to trigger a mercy trial. Maddox has access to the Los Angeles Municipal Cloud. All citizens' devices are connected to this cloud. And Chris can use any and all resources to provide Maddox with evidence of his innocence. If he fails to do so, he will be executed in precisely 90 minutes. The chair Chris is sitting in will deliver a fatal sonic pulse if he cannot bring his probability of guilt below 92% within 90 minutes. Maddox says he came to his home at 9:22 a.m. Nicole was telling Chris to leave. Chris was asking her to open the door. When Nicole refused, Chris grabbed his keys and let himself in. He was inside the house for 26 minutes. After that, when their daughter arrived, she found her mother in a near-death state. And Nicole was stabbed by a right-handed man. Chris is right-handed. Traces of Nicole's blood were found on the clothes Chris wore that day. After leaving the house, Chris drove to a bar and began drinking heavily. His blood alcohol level was 0.16 at the time of the arrest. Chris even got into a physical altercation with the police. He tried to run. The officers had to knock him out. Chris says he doesn't recall the bar. But right now, he looks like the clear-cut murderer of his own wife. Maddox asks him why he went back home from work. Why did they argue? Chris says, "Let me talk to my daughter." Maddox tells him that juveniles are excluded from mercy trials unless they are a witness to the act of a crime being committed. Chris snaps back, "I want my personal call right now." But according to the court's rules, he has to send a formal request for a call. He can also send a personal message. But in this situation, Chris can't even figure out what to say to his daughter. So he sends an automated request without a personal message. After that, Maddox tells Chris he has an opportunity to speak with his sponsor. That sponsor is Robert. Robert says, "You're supposed to call me, man, if you're even thinking about drinking." Chris keeps insisting he could not have hurt Nicole. But before Robert and Chris can talk any further, Maddox cuts the call. She says Robert was only made available to address his relapse. Chris chose not to avail of his support. Maddox then lays out Chris's marriage in front of him. He began dating Nicole Martin 20 years ago. 3 years later, they got married. After that, they had a daughter, Britt. But then Chris endured a traumatic incident. His duty partner Ray died. And that upended everything for him and for his family. Nicole detailed Chris losing his temper 57 separate times in messages and calls with her family and friends. And Nicole was considering divorce. Maddox says anger can readily overwhelm affection. The fact that he may have loved Nicole does not prohibit the possibility that he lost his temper and murdered her. Maddox plays a video of his daughter in front of him. In it, Britt is calling Chris dangerous. She stopped recording the moment Chris walked in. All of these posts were pulled by Maddox from Britt's private Instagram accounts, which she had kept hidden from Chris. Meanwhile, Britt accepts the request to speak. She is devastated over her mother's death. She asks, "Why do they think you killed her? You were at work, right?" Chris tells her it's a big misunderstanding. Britt wants him to come back home. Chris says, "Whatever happens today, I need you to know that I did not hurt your mom, okay?" But right then, Nicole's father takes the phone from Britt and hangs up. Now Chris has only 69 minutes left. He says, "You and I both know that this clock is nothing. You make your decisions about the people in this courtroom before they're even in this chair." Maddox responds, "If you are innocent, prove it to me." Chris controls his emotions and says, "Give me Jack." During this trial, Chris can call anyone, providing his purpose is to gather evidence or ask that they provide character testimony. Jack is already outside his house at this point. Chris tells her he needs them to walk the scene. But before doing that, Jack makes something clear. She says, "If it ends up looking bad for you, that's exactly how I'm gonna say it looks, okay? Nobody's more important than that court." Maddox then renders an immersive reconstruction of the crime scene at Chris's request. There is a broken vase here. Chris tells Jack to go into the kitchen. There are signs of a struggle. A plate on the countertop was thrown and shattered. According to Chris, Nicole must have thrown it trying to defend herself. But the fingerprints on the murder weapon, the knife, belong to Chris. He says Nicole was kind of scared of that knife. He always did the prep. Chris's DNA is all over the place. Jack says it's a classic crime of passion, and it all points right at him. Chris asks for Nicole's phone records, but there is no unknown number in any of them. Chris says the night they fought, she was texting someone, but Maddox found no record of her texting anyone at that time. So Chris asks, "What about her work phone?" Maddox has no record of a second phone, but Chris once called her on that number. They search through Chris's call history, find the number, call it, and locate the phone inside the car. Maddox accesses the phone through Jack's device and confirms it is a burner phone. It is not registered to the municipal cloud, and there is only one number in its call history, which is also a burner. They call that number, but the receiver picks up and immediately hangs up. However, by then, Maddox has already traced it through the cell towers. And through all of this, Chris's probability of guilt has reduced to 96.7%. The phone is inside the Hudson Hotel, and the caller is attempting to exit the building via the rear service doors. The man, Patrick, runs back inside. He is a sous chef at this hotel who still hasn't paid his rent. He is also comfortable with knives. Maddox reports that Patrick is running upward through the building. Jack goes after him and catches him. A scuffle breaks out between them. Patrick says, "I didn't do anything. I just ran in fear." Chris asks what Nicole was doing with someone like him. Patrick says, "She was getting everything that you couldn't give her." Chris asks why he had a burner phone. Patrick explains that Nicole wanted to talk to him privately, so he got her a phone. The two of them were having an affair. But this morning, Patrick was on breakfast service the entire time, meaning he did not murder Nicole. But Patrick starts running his mouth, telling Chris, "She just needed somebody to talk to about your daughter, about all that crap at work." So Jack arrests him for his behavior. Now Chris has only 53 minutes left, and his probability of guilt has jumped to 98%. Because Nicole's affair gives Chris a strong motive to have killed her. But Chris says that's not what happened. He tells the truth about why he went back home. Nicole had found his hidden stash of alcohol. Chris used to get very aggressive when he drank, but then he got sober. Everyone was proud and happy for him, but he could not shake his former partner's death and what he should have done about it. We see that one day, Chris and his partner Ray were chasing a hit-and-run SUV. Ray approached the vehicle while Chris stayed back, talking to Nicole on the phone. And that's when Ray was attacked. Chris talks about getting Ray to the hospital, but Ray told him to stay on the attacker. Chris slams into the attacker's car and chases him down on foot. Chris believed he should have killed the attacker right then and there, but he didn't. And in court, the attacker was proven innocent. The guilt from that drove Chris back to drinking. But this morning, he couldn't find his flask in his car. He realized Nicole must have found it. He went back home to get it. That's when the two of them got into an argument. Chris broke Nicole's favorite vase. Some of the glass shot up and cut her. That is how her blood got on him. And after that, he truly doesn't remember anything. Chris gets emotional and starts saying, maybe you got a point about motive. If I was already angry, maybe I grabbed the knife. Maddox interrupts him. She says, if you admit guilt, I have to lock a verdict, and then you will just watch the clock count down. She tells him, you still have my full capabilities at your disposal. At least try to uncover the truth. So Chris takes her advice and starts thinking again. He says, show me everyone Nicole had. His reasoning is that a planned murder would be committed by someone she knew. Chris has Maddox pull up separate lists of her work contacts and friends. Chris calls Patrick and asks him what was on Nicole's mind. Patrick tells him that Nicole worked at a chemical shipping factory. Some chemicals had been going missing from there. Nicole's boss had asked her to snoop on her coworkers, and she was not comfortable with it at all. Chris calls Jack and says, I'm playing a hunch, so you need to go to Nicole's shipping depot. Maddox asks what a hunch means. She says this court only deals in facts. So Chris pulls up videos from a barbecue held at their house on Sunday. He says maybe the barbecue gave the killer a chance to scope out the house. But nobody has been in the vicinity of the house since then. The available cameras show that 46 vehicles entered their street between 9 o'clock and 10:30 that morning. None of them stopped. Chris asks Maddox to access the camera of the neighbor living behind his house. But the neighbor's internet provider has experienced an outage. The footage will take some time to come through. Maddox maintains that no one came near his house that morning. So Chris calls Rob and asks if anybody didn't show up to work yesterday. He also has Britt's recorded video played back. The video that Britt stopped recording thinking her dad had come home. Chris was at work at the time. It was not him. Chris calls Britt again. But now Britt doesn't want to talk to him. She has seen everything online about how Chris was arrested. She asks, did you do it? Because everyone else says you killed her. Britt is about to hang up when Maddox interferes and tells her, your father is mounting his defense. It's not certain that he killed your mother. Chris asks, what did you hear? Britt says she heard a noise, but she checked the house and it was nothing. Chris watches the rest of Britt's recorded video. And in it, he sees the basement door wide open. A door they never opened. Someone else was hiding in there. Chris starts thinking about who it could be. Maddox says, you are looking for a suspect from the shipping company and you have not addressed the missing chemicals. So Chris digs into the shipping company's computer server and checks the emails. He finds out that urea granules have been going missing. 3 people knew about this. One of them is Holt. Over 6 months, a total of 300 kilos have gone missing. Synthetic urea is a component of several dermatological products and is also used in the production of methamphetamine. CCTV recordings show Holt and Nicole arguing. Chris knows Holt always had a gambling problem. His bank statements show he is $24,000 in debt, and Robert has been bailing him out. Chris calls Robert, but Holt answers the phone. Holt says he'll go find him, but Holt can't find Robert anywhere. Chris says, quit stalling. I was just gonna ask Rob to keep you there. I know you stole the product and killed Nicole. Holt says, absolutely not. I was just helping him. Chris asks, helping who? Holt reveals it was Robert. He owed Robert. Robert was the one actually making the product disappear. But Robert has been good to him. He is Chris's sponsor too. Chris finds out that Robert was off work yesterday as well. The last time Holt saw Robert was at Chris's place on Sunday. And Robert wanted to talk to Nicole after everyone left. Robert even got Holt to drive his car home for him. Chris immediately sends Jack to Robert's house. Chris had helped Rob get a gun license last year. And right then, footage from Chris's back neighbor's car camera comes through. Robert is seen stepping out of the car and walking toward the house. He had escaped in that same car after committing the murder. But despite all of this, Chris's guilt probability is still at 93.4%. He says, do you honestly think that I killed Nick? What's your gut say? What about what you said to Britt? You told her that maybe I didn't kill Nick. And because of all this, Maddox starts to glitch. She isn't functioning normally. Meanwhile, the police arrive at Robert's house. They break in. Robert isn't there. All they find is a childhood photo of Robert from when he was being raised in a children's home. There is someone else in that picture with him. Maddox begins scanning her data for a match. By then, the officers reach Robert's garage. It looks like Robert has been planning something for a long time. and he has already burned the evidence. Chris wonders if Robert was manufacturing drugs here. Robert does have a degree in electrical engineering, so it was possible, but that's when the police find a terrorist handbook. It details how urea can be combined with nitric acid to produce urea nitrate, which is an extremely high explosive. He built a bomb. And right then, Maddox locates Robert's truck. He is heading toward downtown. The photo match comes back. It is David Webb, the first participant of the Mercy Court. It is revealed that David and Robert are brothers, but they were separated when Robert was adopted alone. Meeting Chris at AA, sponsoring him, all of it came after David's trial, meaning Robert's real target is the Mercy Court. That's when Maddox detects a second heat signal in the truck. Someone else is in there with him. Chris calls Britt, but Nicole's father answers the phone instead. According to him, Britt is outside. But Maddox checks the cameras and sees that Robert has kidnapped her. Back at Robert's garage, the police find a timer. They run, but the blast kills them all. Robert still has enough explosives left to kill thousands of people. Jack survived the blast. And right then, Chris's guilt probability drops to 0. But he doesn't want to end this trial, because ending it would mean losing access to Maddox's abilities. Chris needs to stop Robert first. He refuses to follow the court's rules. He says, break them, bend them. Maddox starts glitching again. She says, your gut instincts were right. What if I fail them? And while all of this is happening, Robert is tearing through the road, causing havoc as he drives forward. The police come up with a plan to stop his truck on a bridge away from downtown. Officers will drop from a helicopter to rescue Britt. But the plan fails. Robert rams through the police cars and pushes past them. Seeing this, Jack takes over incident command as the ranking officer. She gives the order to take Robert out. They cannot let him take the bomb back into a populated area. The police are about to blow up Robert's truck with their own explosive. Chris is pleading with them not to do it. His daughter is in there. He begs Maddox for help, but Robert survives due to a misfire. He asks Maddox, was it you? Robert is now moments away from reaching the Mercy Court. Chris tells Jack, I need you. We are gonna try talking to him. Jack moves her air unit in front of Robert's truck. Chris reaches Robert through the radio channel playing inside the truck. He tells him not to do this. Robert says, you had been haunting my dreams, Chris. My brother had problems, but I could have helped him. And now Robert wants Chris to suffer in that chair knowing he is innocent, the same way his brother did. Seizing the moment, Jack opens fire on Robert. She has no concern for Britt's safety. So Maddox takes control of her quadcopter and pushes it aside. Robert's truck crashes straight into the Mercy Court building. The impact causes a power interruption, and Maddox's efficiency drops to 40%. Despite Chris begging her repeatedly, she cannot release him from the chair. She is malfunctioning. Outside, Robert is killing everyone in sight. At the very last moment, Chris is released. He runs toward his daughter and Robert. He grabs a dead officer's comms and vest. Chris steps out into the open at Robert's demand. Robert is holding the bomb's remote in his hand. Robert says, you are guilty of executing an innocent man. He is about to trigger the blast when Maddox appears and says, I suggest that you put your case on the record. This is a chance for you to clear your brother's name. Robert reveals that 2 years ago, he met his brother. He gave him some cash and a phone. But the next thing he knew, David had killed a lady. Robert says, but I called him the night of the murder. Same time you said he was killing that lady, I was talking to him. That's when Maddox tells Robert there is an 82% chance that pulling the battery pack will render the bomb inert without detonation. Maddox also tells Robert that his brother was found with the lady's dead body, his prints were on the knife, and he had no phone. Right then, Britt bites down on Robert's hand. Chris rushes in and pulls the battery out of the detonator. He is furious. He is about to shoot Robert. The killer of his wife is standing right in front of him. But Chris doesn't shoot. And that's when Jack shoots Robert in the hand. Robert says from behind that David was innocent of the murder he was executed for. Robert was on the phone with David at the time of the victim's death. Maddox retrieves footage that confirms this. And it is revealed that Jack knew about this all along. She had David's cell phone. Maddox confirms that the phone was at the crime scene and then at the station. But Jack took the phone and got rid of it. She says, We needed the first trial to be a home run. We needed mercy. Chris responds, we need justice. He has Jack detained. Maddox asks, what have we done? Chris says, we just did what we're programmed to do. Human or AI, we all make mistakes, and we learn. And with that, this story comes to an end. Let us know how you liked this explanation in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.